Today I just want to carry on very briefly the idea from the last video, which was on the 3 Ds of distraction, dissipation, and duplicity being common features of the modern world. It's very hard to remain non-duplicitous, to have a heart that's pure and focused. Dissipation is everywhere in the modern world. Perhaps it always was, but it seems more ever ready in the modern world. And of course, I work with the youth, and one sees this, how dissipated they seem, how poured out in a million and one directions. But are we as adults any better off, if we're honest? Well, anyway, this is an absolute classic of a book, Silouan the Athonite by Archimandrite Sophrony. This was his first book. He's the founder of the Essex Monastery, of course, in 1959. This is his first book. The signature theme, kind of like the go-to book. I remember when we first went down to Essex, and there was a chap from my wife's village there, and what are the odds in the west of Ireland? And he just went straight to the bookshop after we'd spoken at length. Went straight to the bookshop and bought us this book and said, "You've got to read this. This sets it all out. You know what the monastery is all about and what Saint Sophrony was all about. His teaching from Saint Silouan and what he received from Saint Silouan. He said it was the greatest treasure in his life to have known Saint Silouan and have been his spiritual son, as it were, for the years that he was on Athos." This is the Greek version. I use it to kind of, try my best to learn a wee bit of Greek as I go. It's a little less boring than textbooks. Okay, just a tiny little excerpt from this. And what it's really showing is we have to do our part to keep the oven hot. We have to do our part to keep our heart focused in this dissipatory, distracting world. We can't expect, pure, just all the work of God. There must be this synergistic response. God pulls, but we must we must take hold of the ropes, as it were, and keep hold of the ropes. When the soul is humbled and the Spirit of God is in her, man blissfully rejoices in spirit in the love of God. The soul, when she feels the Lord's mercy, knows no fear of any earthly calamity. Her longing is to abide forever in humility before God and to love her fellow men. But if a soul be puffed up, then her day of rejoicing is over, for grace forsakes her, and she can no longer pray with a pure heart. Evil thoughts come to harass her. Evil thoughts come to harass. There's so many cares and woes in the world. As we're on our own in the big bad cities and the big bad towns of the secular world, worries of bills coming in the letterbox, worries of losing our work, worries of the cost of living becoming exorbitant, worries about our bank balance, our health, our failing health, whatever it is, worries about our children, so many worries. But the grace of God, when it descends into the soul, just seems to melt all of this crazily. I think it's tangible for those who walk closely with the Lord, certainly in the Orthodox tradition. But it's a pure gift from God. And here Saint Sophrony saying we can lose all of that by proud thoughts. We can lose all of that by vainglory. We can lose all of this by puffing ourselves up above our fellow man. Might be in the traffic on the way to work, calling somebody a bampot, or, getting involved in a shouting match, or lustful thoughts in a way that's puffing ourselves up above others. It's not treating us, it's not living as a servant of all. at the feet of all. And the grace of God leaves us. We sadden the Holy Spirit, and we're left naked in the eye before God. We're left bereft of God's Holy Spirit. We're left without the grace of God and the warmth in our hearts, and there we are beset with evil thoughts, with evil cares and anxieties that gnaw on our health mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Forgive me. Hope that's useful. That's taken from the chapter on spiritual combat from this book here.